The Congressional Budget Office released estimates this week that, as currently written, the American Health Care Act would cause 14 million people to lose coverage in the first year and an additional 12 million by 2026. In response, Representative Mike Coffman commented that he needs more time with the CBO analysis before he can commit to voting for it, although he was supportive of the bill before the CBO released its report. Craig, Representative Coffman was actually supportive, made that statement on your radio show before the CBO report was released. What do you think, what kind of wiggle room do you think Representative Coffman has now that we've seen numbers from the Congressional Budget Office?
Well, this is a very tough issue, especially for Colorado politicians, because hundreds of thousands of Coloradans may lose their health benefits. As Donald Trump eventually realized and acknowledged, this is very complicated, and the GOP is in a circular firing squad right now, and this will test Donald Trump's deal-making abilities, his political skills, and Peggy Noonan is now suggesting that he reach across the aisle. Donald Trump told Tucker Carlson in a crowd in Nashville that no matter what he said, the Democrats are going to instinctively oppose him, and that may be true. Although if he puts on a charm offensive, maybe gives them a few things, it's possible. Because will the Republicans all rally together? Cory Gardner and I expect now Mike Coffman have said, no, we need to keep that expanded Medicaid. Meanwhile, the Freedom Caucus, people who are more conservative in the GOP, say, no, you're giving away too much Medicaid. So they're going to have to resolve that. Charles Krauthammer has suggested the smartest strategy for the House to load it up with everything Republicans like, pass it, send it to the Senate where it will die a certain death, and the Democrats will be blamed. It's a lot of politics because the people will react in the midterms.
Natasha, President Trump doesn't have to worry about being reelected in 2018, but a bunch of Congresspeople do. Seeing that on their horizon, do you think this bill is going to look far different once it actually gets to the Senate?
Absolutely, and there's going to be people who vote against it for very different reasons. Some people are going to vote against it because their constituents don't think it goes far enough, and others will vote against it because their constituents think it goes too far. So if you're a Republican in this position right now, this is difficult. You know, as of Friday, if it was voted on party lines, they need a whip. They need at least 21 Republican to vote for it as well, or I guess they can lose 21. But there's 23 that have already said they aren't voting for it or they're on the fence. And I actually think that number might grow over the weekend. So this is going to be a very long slog, which now that we have the CBO numbers is important. Maybe we need a little bit more time to discuss this. You know, personally as a reporter, because I've covered these topics, I'm very concerned about mental health parity and how that's handled. I'm concerned about access and how class and income is treated by this bill. And those are things that we're just starting to hear about. I honestly think the media needs a little more time with this topic to uncover some of those. So I'm all for delaying this until we have some more information.
Mary, a variety of groups came out against some of the ideas that were within this current version of the bill. One of the more powerful groups that said they had problems with it was the senior lobby. Really, when it came to seniors, they were getting the short end of the stick on a lot of different ends of this bill. Because of the power they have in D.C., do you think we'll see some changes specifically that help senior citizens when it comes to health care? There's
a lot of people getting the short end of the stick in this bill. You could say a lot of people with Obamacare as well. You bring it back to the midterm elections. Health care, one of the policies obviously that has the most real life immediate ramifications. As a reporter, I'm talking about this every day. Interviewed a woman in Denver last week who lost her job, survivor of cancer, has a brain tumor. Because she doesn't have a job now, she said she is terrified. She is in tears. She does not know what to do. Someone who has worked in the corporate world her entire life and simply does not know what the future holds for her in terms of her financial future. So, you know, this is going to affect the midterm elections. Mike Coffman, obviously, somebody who, if he makes the wrong move on it, it could come back to haunt him very quickly. State Senator currently, Rhonda Fields, one of the people mentioned as a possible competitor to him. She's known very much for her strong voice for the disenfranchised, for the poor. We know that he's in a district that includes a lot of low-income folks, a lot of cultural and ethnic diversity. He could face a challenging race, and this really could be could make it or break it for him.
Patty, there's a lot of different pieces to this that affect a lot of different Colorado politicians. Do you think we're going to see a delay? Because I know I've at least read in some places that Republicans want to avoid a delay over the summer recess because that's what happened with Obamacare, and the town halls and really the surge of the Tea Party came in 2010. And Republicans want to try to avoid that. But can they, seeing that there's so much disagreement over what we currently have?
I don't think they're going to be able to avoid that. We talked about this last week when we said, you know, obviously you need more time, and it just come out a week ago Monday. The media is not the only one that needs more time on this. The legislators need time on this. They still can't figure it out. When we were sitting here last week, it was going to be 14 million. Now we have the additional 12 million who will lose health insurance. Clearly, the poor are in trouble, but it's also the people with pre-existing conditions, everyone who is scared. And that senior lobby is going to make a huge difference in D.C. because that's a strong voting contingent for Trump. It's a strong bunch of voters, and they can make a big difference at the midterms.